What to do, YouTube, and attention to you truth seekers out there. Thank you for subscribing. For my new subs out there, I know I have a few because I've been getting notifications. I filmed Zachary Hubbard up at in Seattle, and we interviewed, or Deborah Horne of Cairo 7 interviewed Zack Hubbard of Gematria Effect News. So if you're from that channel, thank you very much. I have two channels. Chaotic is my production channel, so anything I actually put 30 40 hours of production value into typically goes over to that channel. And then Gerard KO, which I'm thinking about changing to my Reddit handle, Chaotic Profit. We'll get to that later, but yeah, so I'm going to send this video to both channels, and what I'm doing right now is just watching Zach live, and I backed it up a little bit so you can speed it up at 1.25%. That's how, and he didn't know that you could do that, or at least he thought it would be chipmunky, and I'm like, no, actually the pitch is perfect. So we'll go ahead and speed him up to 1.25%, so you can soak in more information. That's what I'm going to do here, at least until the next phase, till I gather more knowledge about the occult and all that is going on. Um, and Zach and I don't 100% agree on all things, but we just met. I mean, I've been following him since Kobe. I found a video of his in a conspiracy subreddit, and it shot me over to him, and I've been watching dozens and dozens, like probably 20 40 hours of his content. Just I created a playlist, and once I got up to 30 videos of Kobe stuff, I just was like, just follow, just I had already subbed, obviously, but I just got off of that tangent, and everybody else did too. Nobody's talking about Kobe, right? But make sure you wash your hands, because the coronavirus ain't gonna kill itself like Jeffrey Epstein. Now you're gonna have to forgive me with my webcam doing that Zoom thing. I don't know how to disable it, and it's weird because I plugged it into my buddy's laptop who installed OBS software, also screen capture software, OBS, for those that want to do this. And it wasn't zooming on his, and it's the exact, I plugged in this exact webcam into his computer, and it didn't do that. So I apologize. So anyways, we're going to go ahead and switch over to screen capture with webcam and jump over to Zach.
These systems were houses of cards from the beginning, giant Ponzi schemes. Now that the systems are pretty much impossible to sustain, is this the New World Order's answer? Get rid of these people? Yeah.
So if you want to speed up, sorry to interrupt him, but that's what I will be doing on this channel. And that's what's great about backing up his live feed and pausing it. For those that are on PC and want to, if you just hold the shift key and these arrows, you can change the speed. If somebody talks too fast, you can slow it down. And this is really necessary for those that actually attend YouTube University regularly. Because you want to gather in as much content as possible, then you need to speed it up, especially if they're a slow talker. A lot of professors are, because they got to drag it out. But they do have some content that we all need, and knowledge should be exchanged freely. I don't know why it's attached to money the way it is. I've been fortunate enough to get my education through college, of course, through the military, because post 9/11 GI Bill. So I was fortunate enough to have served in uniform during that time, 10 years, and you don't have to thank me for my service. It's a volunteer force, and we all do what we're called to do in the manner that we're capable of doing it. So,
I think about people like my parents' age who are in their late 60s and worked their whole life. They're thinking that if they work into their early 70s and then they accept their Social Security, they can get a big enough payment each month to try and live modestly but enjoy the last few years of their life without working.
My coworker, 65-year-old Puerto Rican, told me his friend who was about to retire this summer lost $200,000 in the stock market nonsense. And what bugs me about it is same thing happened a decade ago, and the decade before that. It does this. Is this pattern 10 years from now, it's going to happen too. So make sure you pull out your 401ks. And if you don't, it's your own damn fault. Now, I pulled out mine last year and had to pay a penalty. It was no fault of my own. My company switched companies, and so the 401k company obviously switched companies also. So I was like, well, I'm not putting it in this new company, which was formerly AIG, a company that changed its name when they were the problem in the first place. I'm not letting them get my 401k. Give me that money. And I cashed it out, paid the penalty, and at least I have something as a result instead of $200,000 just disappearing.
What if people like my parents, that age group, I'm just saying, what if they really do unleash like a plague that targets, elderly and, again, they target it at poor communities? What if they do that?
Why
People
not?
that work their ass off their whole life and pay into something that they thought they were finally going to get, they don't even get to enjoy it. I mean, that's the way this world is. It's how these people operate. They do not care or respect human life. They use us like gears in a machine. So this is really what people need to think about. And I'm hoping that this simulation, what's going on right now, I'm hoping it's going to end up being a big April Fool's joke and just come to a screeching halt on April 1st, which I also wouldn't put past them. But the point is,
Oh, wow.
if that did happen, let's just say they just brought this all to an end on April 1st. Oh, April Fool's, life's back to, NBA's back on, everything's good, we're starting baseball up, et cetera, throughout the world. If they did do that, we would still not want to go back to sleep. Eventually, they are going to do this to us. Those Georgia Guidestones tell us what the future of this world is. I'll remind people, next year, 2021, March 22nd, March 22nd, 2021, that's when those Guidestones will turn 41 years old. And don't forget, Skull and Bones equals 41. Like Herbert Walker, the Skull and Bones member, Mr. New World Order, he was number 41. Died on November 30th, 11 plus 30, 41. Told you why he wasn't going to live past 94 or the month of November in 2018. All by understanding these numbers. But now let's watch Event 201. This isn't the whole thing. Realize there's hours worth of this simulation. But this 11-minute, 45-second clip, I'm just thinking about how long they made this highlight clip. If you think about hands on a watch, like 11 and 45 seconds, it'd be like 11 and 9, wouldn't it? Anyway, let's just watch this. Let's watch this, and I'll try not to interrupt too much. Just pay attention and listen. But this highlight reel is pretty good at capturing the main point, at least so far from what I've seen. So this is the simulation of Event 2-1, the coronavirus outbreak in the near future. It was done October 18th, 2019, same day the Military World Games began in Wuhan. It was co-hosted by the World Economic Forum, Johns Hopkins University, and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. There were other major corporations and bankers there to plan out how you would respond to this pandemic. And just look at all the things they talk about. The trillions lost in the economy. What happens to pretty much everything we're seeing right now. Just watch this. I mean, it's sick. And also recognize 2-1, how their logo for 201 is the world is the zero. So 2-1 are the numbers that are clear. Remember, fear is 21. They're spreading fear everywhere. And realize, if I'm spreading fear to you, that is not my intention. I'm just saying, better to be prepared. And really, who I'm looking out for are the poor people of the world. I hope every poor person in the world gets their hands on this information so that they can realize, what kind of scheming is going on and why they need to help wake up their fellow man. Because if this is just like an experiment, it's not to say that in some years' time, 10 years' time, however many years' time, but it's sometime probably not too far into the future, this is what could really happen. So here we go. And again, the WHO, that's the World Health Organization headquartered in Switzerland, like the Bank of International Settlements and like the World Economic Forum,
which is perfect segue for a joke I read on Reddit. So yeah, I'm recycling jokes. Forgive me, but you should hear the joke anyways. Anyways, it goes, so the World Health Organization has reported that our pets, our dogs, cannot catch the coronavirus. So just so you know, who let the dogs out?
It's been under that name for 33 years.
Sorry, it's corny.
Kind of reminds me of like how in 1968,
I like corny
911 became
jokes.
the National Emergency Dialing Code. World Trade Center construction began. George W. Bush graduated from Yale and Skull and Bones. Boeing debuted their jumbo jetliner. 2001: A Space Odyssey came out, etc., etc. All 33 years before 2001. 2-1 again. 2-1. 2001. 2-1. Fear 21. That was 19 years ago. Chaos 19. The Masonic agenda, order out of chaos. The moon does the perfect reset in the sky every 19 years. And I just thought about how moon equals 21 in the most pure cipher, like fear and Jesuit. I wonder if there's some sort of relationship there. So I think about like horror movies and the moon and full moons and howling werewolves. Anyway, let's just watch this.
It began in healthy-looking pigs months, perhaps years ago. A new coronavirus spread.
By the way, this is how the movie Contagion, or this is how the contagion spreads in that film, through the pigs. Swine flu. Don't cast your pearls before swine. Here we go.
silently within herds. Gradually, farmers started getting sick. Infected people got a respiratory illness with symptoms ranging from.
And just so you're not confused, this is a
I
simulation
was
that
about to
took
say.
place October 18, 2019. This is
That's what's so crazy about this. They went to such length and detail to, and this is something I can't. This is a reason why I am doing this live, or not live, because I don't have enough subscribers, so I can't do it live anymore. I used to could, might do it again. Anyways, so I said in his comment chain on the live feed that problem with this propaganda is that it's right there up with the JFK assassination reenactment footage. The problem with creating something so detailed is those of us in the future won't be able to discern the difference between deep fakes and reality because it's so compelling. This is better than any training footage that I got in McDonald's, the Air Force, has Whopper, or the training, the cyber awareness training that Hillary Clinton had to do with the BlackBerry. Everybody, a lot of people know that footage because it's even made its way into the meme culture. Yeah, and Hillary Clinton should have had to taken that same cyber awareness class in order to obtain her level of classification that she had. Anyways, I digress. The problem with this propaganda is that you won't be able to know the difference in the future. And I think that's what they're banking on.
is not, like a recap of what's going on right.
That it'll just blend in with history, and we will consider this footage or excerpts from it to be, and that's what, and basically I'm doing excerpts of his live footage, right? Well, to help my subscribers know what I'm on all about right now. Right now, I've been doing Gematria before I knew it was Gematria. I didn't have a name for it. The most recent one I found was 2014 when Earl Thomas, his jersey number was 29. L plus O plus B is 29. Based on the cipher at the bottom of the screen, the bottom of the right here, A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, and Z is 26. Just that one cipher, I've been spotting patterns in numbers for decades, not knowing that it was called Gematria. So when I stumbled upon this the day after Kobe died, I was like, this is exactly what I've been talking about. I mean, of course, everybody knows numerology, and ology just means the study of numbers, and that's kind of generic, and it intentionally by design they probably rubber stamp it with that so that you don't look into it. But when you know that it's based on Kabbalah, which oddly enough I have a book of
Right now in the world. This is a simulation and prediction. October 18th, 2019.
and what's interesting is the author is Pearl Epstein. Make sure you wash your hands now because the coronavirus ain't going to kill itself, just like Jeffrey Epstein. So this was given to me by a VFW vet, who is a Vietnam veteran, very knowledgeable. He worked at like Coca-Cola for 40 years, and he's just very, very knowledgeable person. Anyways, he gave me this after I talked about Gematria with Zachary Hubbard. And so now, yeah.
Mild flu-like signs to severe pneumonia. The sickest required intensive care. Many died. Experts agree, unless it is quickly controlled, it could lead to a severe pandemic, an outbreak that circles the globe and affects people everywhere. The mission of the pandemic.
Interesting that I was out of South America on that one.
Make emergencies people.
Interesting. I will say that because he has been covering Event 201 a lot, and they said it was out of Wuhan, China, if I'm not mistaken.
Everywhere.
But this could just be an example.
The mission of the Pandemic Emergency Board is to provide recommendations to deal with the major global challenges arising in response to an unfolding pandemic. The board is comprised of highly experienced leaders from business, public health, and civil society.
We could be looking at double the number of cases in 1 week and 16 times as many in a month if we are not able to stop the spread.
Oh my God.
That would be on the order of 500,000 cases, and it would continue to rise exponentially. In 3 months, we could be approaching 10 million cases.
We're at the start of what's looking like it will be a severe pandemic. And there are problems emerging that can only be solved by global business.
Johns Hopkins University, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Remember, they both summed to 121, like coronavirus outbreak 121, like World Health Organization 121.
Yes,
and
Professor.
First case in the U.S., January 21st, 121. In Seattle, Washington, where the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is headquartered. Now, Sirius XM channel 121 is the coronavirus outbreak channel. And if you turn on that channel,
That is interesting. He did a 2-minute video when he was in his vehicle, and the Sirius channel for coronavirus updates is 121, and the first case was January 21st. Now, for those of you that are from his channel, I know I'm repeating obviously what he repeats all the time, and that's why he's so good at it, because he's concise and repetition. That's going to help me, by the way, so be patient with me. But this is really for my subscribers before getting these new subscribers from Zack, and I'm so grateful, Zack. You are awesome, and I can't wait to show you what I'm able to come up with. I'm still compiling your footage from last weekend.
it's just meant to irritate you. It's meant to instill you with fear and panic and confusion.
And governments working together.
We have heard about caps-like viruses in animals and people for decades, but have not been successful at developing a licensed vaccine. And sure, there are new technologies that may help, but it's going to be difficult. I'm not optimistic about having a vaccine in time to be relevant during this pandemic.
I actually saw this footage already used on behalf of the actual coronavirus. It's already been lifted.
So the policy crisis in question for this board in this meeting is this. How
That,
should
or I'm
governments,
mixing up the
business, and
deep
international
things.
organizations allocate and distribute pandemic antivirals and medical supplies to the people who need them most?
Look at her smile in the background. It was more prominent 5 seconds before.
Pandemic antivirals and medical supplies.
I mean, the one on the left, the brunette on the left, okay. They look like they're just all bored and they've been there all day.
To the people who need them most.
What we've seen work very well in the HIV field is in fact procurement.
Because that would mean these are all
So
actors
having a centralized
doing
mechanism
a
so
real-world
financially
exercise.
able to procure on behalf of affected countries is very critical. I think the second thing is
They do this in the military
it's
all
going
the
to be
time
very
too.
important that
Like on 9/11, they were doing a hijacked airline exercise during the actual event. That creates the most amount of chaos because you don't know what's real world and what's exercise, what's practice and what's really going on, especially when it's going on during the exercise. So food for thought, if you're ever in a Sandy Hook situation and there's already a training situation going on, avoid that situation altogether if you know they're going to be planning a mass shooting exercise, because I won't say 9 times out of 10, but probably 1 time out of 10, when they're doing an exercise, the real thing will pop off. And I'm confident about that statistic, throwing it at the wall and sticking, because Q has said 7 out of 10 plane crashes or aviation crashes are not accidental. That's how I know Kobe Bryant's helicopter crash that was predicted through predictive programming with that helicopter cartoon. Check out the playlist in the description if you don't know what I'm talking about as far as Kobe's predictive programming death. Whether or not he's dead, allegedly, don't know. The point is, we know what they're telling us. And that it's all connected. And they're doing it as distractions for something bigger and bigger and bigger. And they always are. And every decade, they just repeat. That's their mantra. That's their game plan. And they don't deviate much from it. And now that we know the Gematria code, we're on to them.
the business sector for
Doesn't mean they can't change up the cipher and do something slightly more sophisticated, but it means we will be able to figure that out as well.
manufacturers of antivirals that we have.
And for all we know, they probably have more ciphers that we don't know of. We're only using the 4 that he gives us, that Zack has been able to pinpoint.
Clarity around what the need is and where the need is and who are making the decisions.
Which is the value of this whole community. But I'm so sorry to interrupt. That's the whole value of this whole community, because we can help Zack, and they already are. People that have come from his channel and checking this channel out, they are decoding stuff that he wasn't even privy to. And he is humble enough to say, hey, you knew something I didn't know, when I mentioned one of the Israeli hijackers allegedly was in seat 9, row 11 of one of the planes that hit the tower allegedly. So, and he's like, that's something I didn't know. And so he is a black hole or a reverse search engine for knowledge. People are providing all this stuff, and it gets so overwhelming that he can't help it but to really get it out there. Because otherwise you just end up with guilt and animosity because the world sucks and you don't want to live in a world that sucks. And that's why they want us to be sheeple. You know, they want us to obey what they're telling us to do. It's no different than sheep in a congregation, but that's a little bit different.
I think that given that the countries most affected are those that are low and middle income countries with unequal access to technology, to finances, the UN has a worldwide footprint, universally recognized, and universal membership.
A global stockpile would certainly help ensure more rational and strategic allocation, but the reality is that we don't have the logistics capability, even within the UN, to bring that together in one place and run it. So this is where I think a collaboration between the international organizations like the World Health Organization and the private sector, which runs these supply chains for many purposes every day, understand where the supplies are, make smart decisions about how to allocate them to the people who need them in the places that need them the most, and then work with the industry to move those supplies from where they are today to where they need to be. Just to underscore the point that cooperation among supply
So
chain
something that
providers
needs to
or
be addressed
businesses that have
too.
huge supply chains
It's
can
kind
add
of boring.
a lot of efficiency to the whole process.
The question is, can you, through this international mechanism, really promote commitments to doing this?
Self-fulfilling prophecies. All this money and revenue went into
that they are
preparation for a
they have a
pandemic.
chance of protecting their own
Boom, God
populations
gives you a
and countries'
pandemic.
well-being.
You think you're ready for
So
it?
to be completely
Type
clear,
of thing?
most
I mean,
of this
and if
production
not, we're also
comes
dealing
from
with a third of the angels
So
that
it
have
is
fallen and
almost
chosen
unheard
to
of that they
side
will produce a
with
product
the enemy.
without having a
So there's a
full
spiritual
capability consumption
warfare,
of it. So the first thing that needs
spiritual
to be done is this
warfare
is not
going on
something that
right now.
countries currently
And
control. This is
President
countries
Trump
that have
has
driven
now
out
declared
emergency
himself or
situations
is
and
declared a
co-opt
wartime
an
president.
existing supply
And
chain.
China
I
in
think it's not
February
likely,
declared
I
this a
agree, that
wartime
countries are not
condition.
gonna buy,
And that may be why Trump has stamped himself as a wartime president, because he gets 139 additional powers that he previously doesn't get. Cutamatatus, whatever, some Latin shit. So he gets additional powers, which he doesn't have to go through Congress for, to basically take over the radio waves without permission. That was done in the past under the Wartime President Act, which actually was established in 1976. But presidents before that have just done these things that didn't have an act behind it to support it. And that's another thing. And we'll get into that. That the theory, I might as well. So the theory is that Trump's team's new mission, defend the wartime president. So slammed by the threat he called totally under control. In January, Trump is trying to rebrand his presidency and campaign just before an election. So, and this is interesting. Basically, they're saying that this is done before. When America is at war, voters prefer not to swap presidents in the middle of battle. James Madison sailed to re-election after launching the War of 1812. Abraham Lincoln delivered his second inaugural address, a month before the Civil War effectively ended at Appomattox, Virginia. Sorry, I know I butchered that. In the shadow of World War II, Franklin D. Roosevelt might as well just edit all that out. In the shadow of World War II, Franklin D. Roosevelt notched a third term. And the year after deploying troops to Iraq, George W. Bush defeated a war veteran, Democrat John Kerry, which reminds me of his father, George H.W. Bush, who didn't get his second term because we didn't want to go into Iraq from Kuwait, and we were dragged into that shit, so we voted for Clinton, which screwed us because at the time, I believe, the puppets, either way, you're screwed. And this time, I felt that way initially, but I wasn't going to choose Hillary. Had no choice. And so I had to choose Trump, and I think we're better off because he's so much better than Biden. Not that this would be a good segue for that, but might as well.
Excuse me, I got to get this right.
And why should the voters believe that you can win a national election?
I was a Democratic caucus. Remember caucus? No, you're a lying dog-faced pony soldier.
Oh, listen to that.
No, you're a lying dog-faced pony soldier.
What?
A damn liar, man. That's not true. And no one has ever said that. No man has a right to raise a hand to a woman in anger. And so we have to just change the culture, period. And keep punching at it and punching at it and punching at it. If you want to check my shape on, let's do push-ups together here, man. Let's run. Let's do whatever you want to do. It is important that Iowa and Nevada have spoken, but look.
He was in New Hampshire, not
Get the
Nevada.
words straight, Jack. I'm Joe Biden's husband. I work for Cedric Richmond.
I'm Joe Biden's husband, and I work for Cedric
Get
Richmond.
the words straight, Jack.
What?
I'm Joe Biden's husband. I work for Cedric Richmond. Are you joking? Granddaughters not only love their dads, their grandfathers, they always like them, and that's the great thing. Thank you, baby. Thanks. I want you to meet Finnegan.
That was awesome. And I should save this one for later. It's another Trump or another Biden gaffe.
Public health agencies have issued travel advisories, while some countries have banned travel from the worst affected areas. As a result, the travel sector is taking a huge hit. Travel bookings are down 45%, and many flights have been canceled. A ripple
45%, Donald Trump, 45th president. We got 31, 27, 22, 41, 29, 30, 28. And I'm sure if you ran Berlin, Sydney, Toronto, Tokyo, Hong Kong, Madrid, London through Gematria Calculator, which is now available in your app store, by the way, type in GEN Gematria Calculator, and you will get his specific one that he paid for and you can get for free. He's very generous. Everybody give $1. I've already given the guy $59.23, and I'm still waiting for my book because I don't want to use my credit card through his book system, so I was hoping to get it through the email somehow, but I'll figure that out later because I'm sure that's all going to come to pass. But
effect is racing through the service sector. Governments that rely on travel and tourism as a large part of their economies are being hit particularly hard.
How should national leaders, businesses,
it's just
and
interesting they go to such length to create a fake pandemic scenario video. They could easily get confused with what's going on right now.
Then I worry we're suffering from a delusional disorder on the power of the UN. It's really important to get those industries and their trade associations and an efficient leadership established, which is decentralized, but has a collective responsibility and accountability. And that needs to be supported by the public leadership.
Man, this is a very boring part of this Event 201 video that he's having us watch, but
Yeah, there's a whole complex set of issues in a
let's skip ahead a little bit.
only the projects have not generally had.
Happening, but he's just saying we essentially need more fascism.
Let's back it up.
I mean, do you hear what he's saying? We need more of a collaboration between public and private. I mean, with government and private. That's already happening, but he's just saying we essentially need more fascism. We need more fascism. And more oneness. Again, one world order, new world order, one clear agenda. An agenda that doesn't serve the majority of the people, but the very few, the very super powerful and rich. And realize, I mean, all of this is being contrived.
We are not out of money yet. But the fact is, we are trending in a.
Dave Gamble. Go fucking figure. Excuse my language. For this is not meant for kids anyways, and every time I upload to YouTube it asks me that. It's so annoying. But Dave Gamble, go figure.
Dangerous direction, and something needs
Oh, and I'm sure that's a real PhD.
to change.
So the policy question for this board.
The financial guy, his name is Dave Gamble. I mean, doesn't that just seem like it's a mockery in itself? Dave Gamble, the financial guru. I mean,
Sorry, I haven't seen this part
yeah,
yet.
this is the actual event.
He's live, but I backed it
These are
up.
the highlights of the longer event.
Now, is how should financial resources be prioritized? Are there
We
nodes
think
that we're
alike
not
in
allowed
it.
to fail? What is your sense of priorities? We don't have money to pay for all of these urgent problems. So at the moment, we want for fun, right? We need the money. So where's the money? So government kind of supplies some money. A lot of, private sectors, some are sitting here, still have some money. But now you need a really coordinated, centralized efforts.
Hotels will be experiencing, crippling losses from that. And we know that the hotel business in itself makes up 5% of the GDP.
Governments need to be willing to do things that are out of their historical perspective or for the most part, it's really a war footing that we need to be on. We shouldn't underestimate the power of entrepreneurship. We need to escalate that, whether it's through the government's helping with tax breaks or subsidies of that nature to increase manufacturing of those types of products. It can happen quickly. A Marshall type plan, a company may say that exactly, but a Marshall plan that can go into effect can stimulate change very quickly.
And again, very quickly.
Just
Again, we're
words
told our whole lives
from
things
actors.
take time. Things are slow with government. But anytime there's one of these contrived ordeals, you just see how fast
Don't touch your
everything
face.
is. Laws change, rights taken away, major lending for banks, and just boom, just like that, 1 trillion
Unless you
more
have
debt.
a coronavirus
There's 100
filter.
people are supposedly dead. Again, in a nation where every few minutes people by the hundreds die from preventable disease and illness. Being taken for fools, but at the same time, what more do they have planned? I mean, we're going through a major transition point. And again, for those of you who've been with me from the beginning, this is why I've been working day and night for 7 years straight. I've said, I don't know if it's 5 years away, I don't know if it's 100 years away, I don't know if it's 10, 20. I said, but all I know is each day we're getting closer to the day where they pull the rug out from under us and put us on this big transition. Again, if you read the very first post that I ever wrote about, which I talked about all the time when I started this channel back in 2013, I've been talking about the Georgia Guidestones. Now we're ruled over by psychopaths and killers and banker tyrants, and they come to power through murder and money and interest. So, I mean, again, it's not about fear, it's about awareness, and it's about waking up enough people to overthrow this, because until the day they do it, it's not too late.
Countries are reacting in different ways as to how best to manage the overwhelming amounts of and misinformation circulating over the internet. In some cases, limited internet shutdowns are being implemented to quell panic.
How much control of information should there be, and by whom? And how can false information be effectively challenged? And what if that false information is coming from companies or from governments?
I think it's very important that we make sure that there is concise communication with all healthcare facilities where these patients are being treated so that there isn't mass panic.
We're at a moment where the social media platforms have to step forward and recognize the moment to assert that they're a technology platform and not a broadcaster is over. They, in fact, have to be a participant in broadcasting accurate information and partnering with the scientific and health communities to counterweight, if not flood the zone, of accurate information.
And again, I mean, this is one of the most dangerous parts of this discussion, because again, he's talking about people like me. And YouTube's already done this. I mean, you cannot search for the content you want to find anymore as a truth seeker on YouTube. You want to search, you can type in anything. What's going to come up is the mainstream gunk and just pages and pages of it. Unless you're already subscribed to a channel that you're aware of, you're probably not going to find any new truth-related content on these topics. You have to already know about what channels exist in the world. If you don't know about those channels, you are probably not finding their work. And they continue to say this needs to go further and further. I mean, that guy's comment, the social media platforms need to realize that they're not a broadcaster. Just we, the mainstream, we're the broadcasters. You're going to broadcast our message. I mean, it's like, dude, this has been going on now. It's just, again, you guys, I saw it all coming in 2013. I was like, I already saw it was going way before that. I saw it back in 2001, but in 2013, I was just hearing the things they were saying in media, because this kind of noise was just starting. It was after Sandy Hook and shutting down these online psychopaths and these people that question official narratives and put out all this information, this false information that hurts people. It's just unbelievable to listen to when it's coming from the mainstream media that always poisons the well, that just pushes nonstop negativity and confusion and false information and dupes people into all sorts of shit throughout history. It's the mainstream media that's always led people into needless wars based on bogus accusations, unsupported evidence, and then for them to have the audacity to say that all these people questioning official narratives, they really need to be weeded out at this moment when we have this great pandemic. And they're talking about this during the simulation. Oh, it's just...
He's on point.
I just don't know how more people don't see what's going on, man.
He's not wrong. It's all three-letter agency propaganda.
More people don't see it. From 9/11 to the chemical skies to even this hysteria
We
right
have
now.
more three-letter
agencies.
We have more three-letter agencies than branches of government.
In talking to people, I feel like a lot of people actually are kind of like, something doesn't feel right about this. Even people who wouldn't really dive down many trails, if you will. I hear people talking in the store when I'm out in public like, things don't make sense. Yeah, they don't. All right, let's finish this up.
Because to try to put the genie back in the bottle with the misinformation and disinformation is not impossible. One thing we haven't spoken about, and I'm wondering whether it's time to talk about this, is a step up from the part of the government on enforcement actions against fake news.
I personally do not believe that trying to shut things down in terms of information is either practical or desirable. And we do have, I think, a couple of strategies that are available to us. One of which is the flood strategy. Second of which is relying and informing and equipping trusted sources of information with the facts.
Did you hear what she said? She's like, I'm not for censoring information, but I have another way to do it. The flood tactic. What do you think that is? That's what I just talked about. How if you search for anything, it doesn't matter what you search for. Like, if, for example, if you were looking for people who are trying to show things that don't make sense about the coronavirus reporting, so if you type in coronavirus hoax reporting or something like that, you're not going to find anything like that. You're going to find pages and pages of mainstream news about coronavirus headlines. The same ones you're trying to see if anybody's doing any research on if things are wrong. Like what I'm putting out, showing you what's very wrong with these headlines. Just how orchestrated and perfectly coordinated they all are. So what she, but just the way she comes in, like, oh, I'm not for censorship, but I am for flooding out the truth. Oh man,
Wow.
So they can then pass that on. But we also need to actually think about a technological answer to this. The outcome of the CAPS pandemic in Event 201 was catastrophic. 65 million people died in the first 18 months.
Did you hear that? 65 million people died in the first
one was catastrophic. 65 million people died in the first 18 months.
18 months. It looks authentic, and this could easily be misconstrued as factual information decades to come when people are looking back historically.
The outbreak was small at first and initially seemed controllable, but then it started spreading in densely crowded and impoverished neighborhoods of megacities. From that point on, the spread of the disease was explosive. Within 6 months, cases were occurring in nearly every country. The global economy was in a free fall. The GDP down 11%. Stock markets around the world plummeted between 20 and 40%.
See how they had to start that number barrage with 11% to get the master number, right?
And headed into a downward cycle of fear and low expectation. Businesses were not borrowing, banks were not lending. Everyone was just hoping to hunker down and weather the storm. Economists say the economic turmoil caused by such a pandemic will last for years, perhaps a decade. The societal impacts, the loss of faith in government, the distrust of news, and the breakdown of social cohesion could last even longer. We have to ask, did this need to be so bad? Are there things we could have done in the 5 to 10 years leading up to the pandemic that would have lessened the catastrophic consequences? We believe the answer is yes. So are we as a global community now finally ready to do the hard work needed to prepare for the next pandemic?
Okay.
The next.
Well, the phones have been busy in the background. So I'll pick up the phone if anyone wants to call in the 509 number.
Oh, I'm not live though. I'll speed it up.
It is getting late though, so I don't want to stay on too much longer, but
It is late.
I see somebody from a 414 area code called about 1,000 times. But all of you called in. The line is now open. So, unless everybody went to bed. If so, we can wrap it up there. Let me check in with the chat real quick. Oh, we got a call from Utah. What's going on, Utah? Yes, it is.
Hi, I have a lot of information to do with the death of Mac Miller. That's when I found your research. So he put out his album on obviously August 3rd.
See what I mean? He happens to be like a black hole or a reverse search engine, not a search engine you go to, but one you go to provide information, and he ends up hoarding all this knowledge. I guess the way Google sends out bots or whatever to retrieve data, I suppose. But people call in and give him all this information. Of course, he started with a baseline, but he's gotten so much smarter because of his subscribers, and I'm looking forward to becoming smarter because of you.
And died 38 days later on 9/7 with like death 9/7.
Right.
Let's back that up.
He put out his album on obviously August 3rd, 8/3, and died 38 days later on 9/7 with like death 9/7.
So born on 8/3 and he died 38 days later. 8/3/38. Cool.
Right.
I mean.
So, this also comes at the same time that now Eminem has dropped his album Murder, Music He Murdered By, right?
And he did that on the day. He did that the same day the Mac Miller album came out. Eminem, right? Mac Miller. Right. Yeah, I covered all this stuff. I mean, it's interesting, but I did do a video presenting this information.
Oh wow.
That dropped his album Murder, Music He Murdered By, right?
And he did that on the day. He did that the same day the Mac Miller album came out. Eminem, right? Mac Miller. Right. Yeah, I covered all this stuff. I mean, it's interesting, but I did do a video presenting this information.
Oh wow. Oh wow. He already presented it. You
Caller?
know.
From, Juice WRLD theater.
I do, man. Yeah.
I digress. He already
From
knew
that
it.
day to the release of Music to Be Murdered By was 1 week, 1 month, and 3 days, like 113.
Right.
And
Hey man, listen, caller. It's not that I don't appreciate this. I love to hear other people are doing the work, and all this is interesting. But I mean, I want to talk about the Event 201 and the stuff going on right now more than the rapper deaths, unless you have a connection with their deaths in this.
yeah, you're good. Thank you, though.
All right, man. Take care. Caller.
Hey, how's it going, Zach?
What's up, man?
Hey, what's going on? So, yeah, I was just wanted to bring up a few things that have been kind of going over my mind.
Okay.
One of them, just to, I don't know if you were aware, I'm not, I was just like trying to correct you or, the name of that show, I don't know if you were talking about the episode of End of Days with the Kobe helicopter. The name of the show, I think you already knew this though, was
Chamberlain Heights?
Legends of Chamberlain Heights.
Right, but the name of that specific episode is End of Days.
Yeah, okay, I was just letting you know. Also, in that, I don't know if you were aware, in that season, in that show, they also had a episode about the Hurricane Harvey or whatever. I think it was in the same city. They called it Hurricane Germain. And I thought also that was kind of interesting. It was obviously before the event took place, kind of foreshadowing it.
Does that episode come before or after the Kobe episode?
I can't remember because I haven't seen that. I've been trying to find that show, but I can't find it. I haven't seen it since the season came out in like 2016. I think it might have been before it, but I'm not exactly sure. But I'm wondering if they also what other things they had in that show in that season. But those are the only really good two things I can remember from that show.
Sure.
Was that
I could see them making this year really crazy with the virus, the economic stuff.
Yeah, I know.
When hurricane season
What's
comes, I can see how
next?
they lay it on. It's just like
The
I was telling people
whole
last
year.
year. I told people last year, man, wake up. I said the time is near with what their agendas, and pointed out all last year. I was saying it's not August 11, 2019. It's not going to be too much longer after August 11, 2019. And been warning people, man, because again, Acts 7:6, the prophecy of 400 years of a slaves and a nation mistreated, that ended August in 2019, and then the next verse after that about the 400-year mistreatment of slaves in a foreign land, which again in the history books that was August 2019. The next verse is about how that same nation gets punished. So I've been like, Acts 7:7, United States 77. We'll see what's coming, man.
Yeah, and I think that one of the flights was United 77.
On 9/11, yeah, Flight 77 at the 77-foot tall Pentagon on the 77th meridian, 77 minutes after taking off, et cetera, et cetera. So.
Wow.
Another thing that came to mind, I don't know why it came to mind for me today regarding 9/11. Sports reference was, I don't know if you've brought this up before, but I just thought it was an interesting connection that when the Spurs, the Twin Towers of David Robinson and Tim Duncan, their only finals appearance together happened to be against the New York Knicks, where the Twin Towers were in the whole 9/11 thing. I just thought that was kind of.
That's a good point, man. They did used to call them the Twin Towers.
Yeah, and they beat New York, so it was kind of a symbolic thing there.
Indeed, yeah, that's a good point.
Another thing I was thinking of was the movie. I know you've probably obviously seen it. I don't know how recently, but the movie I just watched it kind of recently. The movie 23 with Jim Carrey, which is like I don't know if they purposely made it like the ugliest, like worst quality filming, so no one would want to watch it. But that whole it literally there was one scene I noticed. I didn't notice the first time I saw it, but recently when I watched it, there was one scene where it literally shows like the whole A is 1 and Z is 26, the little gematria.
It's where he's explaining how the color pink equals 23, and he does it in this confusing way, but it is true that pink's 23 in the most pure cipher, so yeah.
Yeah, and then I thought it was funny that my birthday, after I watched it, I was kind of creeped out. My birthday added up to 23. But there was another Jim Carrey movie. I'm going to try and look into it more. I just remember another Jim Carrey movie where he was doing all these riddles. And from a long time ago, I can't remember exactly what it was, where he would have these, cut out the, newspaper.
It's from Batman. He plays the Riddler in Batman and does it in that movie, too.
Okay, that's what it was.
Yep, he does. Yep, Jim Carrey, they used him in 2 movies to introduce Gematria.
Okay. Yeah, I was thinking of that, too. Another thing, I apologize if you've already mentioned this, but I haven't heard it recently, but I was thinking you've been talking a lot about the whole 121 connections with this whole coronavirus thing, and I was thinking, what was I thinking? Oh, you talked about you mentioned the first I think it was in the Wuhan, China, the first day that they found the first victim 0 or whatever it was on like the 12th, and then they moved it back to they said it was like the 1st.
Yeah, from the 12th to the 8th to the 1st to November 17th. Yep.
Okay. Oh, I didn't know about the November 17th. I thought the farthest back was the 1st, and I was just noticing that it was 12/1, and that was 1/21 as well. But I didn't know about the November 17th. My apologies.
Yeah, and then we noticed how the Resident Evil video game, which has some parallels, it came out on the date with 121 numerology, March 22nd, 96, and then part 2 of that game came out on January 21st. So I have a feeling there's a lot of 121s that are related to this thing. But yeah, again, predictive programming. So
isn't that crazy? He's got these dates memorized
as well.
So
But I
fascinating.
didn't know about the November 17th. My apologies.
yeah, and then we noticed how the Resident Evil video game, which has some parallels, it came out on the date with 121 numerology, March 22nd, 96.
March 22nd is 322. 322 is Skull and Bones.
And then part 2 of that game came out on January 21st.
121, January 21st, the day that the first person in Seattle contracted the coronavirus in the United States, and the first in Seattle.
So I have a feeling there's a lot of 121s that are related to this thing. But
Wow.
Yeah, again, predictive programming. So
Yeah.
all right, man, I appreciate it. I'm gonna move on. You have a good night.
Predictive programming.
What's up, caller?
Zombie apocalypse.
Hey, Zach, this is Gemini. Oh my goodness.
Gemini, your new song's coming out tomorrow. I'm looking forward to it.
Oh my God. They released it already. Shout out to everybody that likes to release my stuff a little early, even though I don't be breaking the millions. They feel like they try to, they trying to take me down, but it's cool. It's cool, whatever.
So did they put it out today?
What'd you say?
Did they put it out on March 19th?
Yeah, it's out right now. I got an email today.
And you wanted it to come out tomorrow, Friday, right?
Yeah.
That kind of creeps me out because it's about murder by numbers, and so they put it out on the 79th day of the year, and murder is 79. That's weird.
What? See, that's what I'm saying. Murder 79. He knows that. He's got it memorized. I had him do my name in his head, and he did.
Zach. Lord, every time I call you, I don't. No, really?
Yeah, that's weird that they did that. That is weird that they did that.
And it's weird. It's almost 4 o'clock in the morning, and I'm up and just finally talking to you. That's everything is weird. Oh my God, that's not cool.
Yeah, that's strange that they did that. It just makes me wonder. So I don't know who the company is that you're working with, but yeah, that's curious.
Wow.
Oh, Zach, come on, man. Look up my numbers. Help me out. Send me an email. Something.
You mean your artist name? Here, let me check it out real quick.
Oh,
let's see.
I swear, Gemini, the Queen. I mean, I looked it up before.
He deals with a lot of rappers.
Let's see.
For my subscribers that don't know who Zachary Hubbard is, he covers.
Oh, well, it would have been perfect if you had it come out the day that you did, because that's the 80th day of the year, and Gemini the Queen's 80 in the most pure cipher, so that would have been the perfect release date for you. But
you said when?
What's that? If it would have come out March 20th, that's the 80th day of the year.
Which
that would have been perfect, but it came out the day before.
So they did the murder thing with it. Well, in a way, it still works out. But yeah, that's interesting that you chose a date and they went with a different one. So.
Oof.
Well, it's not the first time. Damn, I forgot why I called. Dad, you done knocked me off, Dallas. Oh Lord.
Was it about the Event 201 thing?
What did you say?
Was it about the Event 201 video?
This is cool.
It was in. I can't even remember right now. Like, you really just fully threw me off.
I'm sorry.
Like, I was so far off, but oh my gosh. Okay. Gather my bearings. No, I just really wanted to know how you feel in terms of what all this that's going on. Like, are you concerned? Do you really think we're trying to or we should be trying to really lock it down, get our shit all the way together inside and outside of the numbers? Like, is it really gonna be like that big?
Well, I honestly don't know the answer to that, but I don't like that their simulation says after 6 months of the breakout, just like it just takes off in 4 mega cities. So most of us don't live in mega cities. I'd say those are probably the 20 biggest cities in the world. And I know New York makes the top 10 list. I think Los Angeles makes the top 20 list. But again, I mean, for the people in those communities, I would want to make sure that I was on point and I was prepared in case they did anything crazy. So, I mean, again, we live in a world where again, psychopaths are running the show, and I always like to think that when they're going to do their crazy movement, their Georgia Guidestones ritual, it's further down the road. But I mean, it could be the starting point could be as soon as say this summer. So again, Google leaked that World War III date, which could have just been a thing to add paranoia, but it is weird that they put that out on May 6th and then they took it down. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see. But that's why I mean, to me, it's like. Somehow we just need to make this information go viral and have enough people show up, like in the federal government, and say, "Look, I'm not paying any taxes. I'm not doing nothing until all this comes to an end and somebody starts speaking some facts." I mean, there just has to be some sort of stand before the day comes. That's the way I feel. So I maintain this optimism that it's not so soon because I can't really see humanity standing up in the next few months. It's going to take longer than that. So.
Yeah, it's scary. I'm still in the gutter of state in Ohio, so it's now starting to go down fully in Ohio. Everything is about to shut down too.
I saw your guys' headlines today. What did it say? 119 new cases, 33 deaths, or something like that out of Ohio. I saw some headline like that today.
Yeah, and then like the youngest was 2, and the oldest was 91, and then 33 people were coming back to Ohio off the cruise ship.
See, I wonder if somebody that died and then they test them, like, oh yeah, it was corona, and then so they just stack up these people that are dying anyways or whatever as a corona casualty in order to stack their numbers. I don't know, just throwing it out there.
It's like a whole bunch of numbers,
Right. Yeah.
119, COVID-19, 119 confirmed cases in Ohio. That's so interesting because my mom's address is 119.
This headline out of Ohio.
That was really freaking me out.
Yeah. Familiar numbers. I mean, those numbers remind me of 9/11, 33 years later. So, yeah, I mean.
No.
And 33 hospital, 33 as in the highest order of Freemasonry.
Zack of Gematria. You some emails or something so we can. You call me these dates. Maybe I need to call you before I release something so you can tell me what not to do. Because I ain't trying to get set up.
Sure. Yeah, I just be safe out there. I mean, you are in that recording industry, and so.
Right. Yeah, it's crazy. Well, yeah. It's almost 4 o'clock. Yeah, I'm super tired. I know.
All right, we'll get some rest, and we'll hope for the best. All right, you take care.
Yeah, for sure. All right. I love you.
All right, you have a good night. Support Gemini team. All right, take care. Caller, you're on. Caller?
Hello?
Yeah, you're on.
Yeah, hey, Zach.
What's up?
So I wanted to just real quick, I know it's late, but I wanted to say my uncle owns the radio station. I'm in Arizona. My uncle owns the radio station. My cousin does the morning show, and he'd love to have you on. I just thought maybe it would help get the word out.
Before he goes any further, I want to back it up to the Tom Hanks typewriter.
Ohio.
He said, "Hey folks, this is Tom Hanks." His Instagram, and he says, "Hey folks, good news. 1 week after testing positive in self-isolation, the symptoms are much the same. No fever, but the blahs. Folding the laundry, doing the dishes leads to a nap on the couch. Bad news, my wife has won 6 straight hands of gin rummy and leads by 201 points. Event 201. That's the whole thing propagated by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation on October 18, 2019, that allegedly killed 65 million people during the simulation. Allegedly, I guess it's in the footage. She said it, so it's not alleged. I saw her say it. But the fact that information could get misconstrued in the future. I have learned not to spread my Vegemite so thick. I traveled here with a typewriter, one I used to love. We're all here together, flatten the curve, Hanks. Corona. So something's going on. Either he is pleading for our help or he's a pedophile that's just being funny. It's hard to really tell.
Yeah, hey, Zach.
What's up?
So I wanted to just real quick, I know it's late, but I wanted to say my uncle owns the radio station. I'm in Arizona. My uncle owns the radio station. My cousin does the morning show, and he'd love to have you on. I just thought maybe it could help get the word out.
Where do I got to be and when? I'm doing it.
Okay.
Damn, nice.
I need to speak with him. Is there any way I can talk to you after the fact?
Well, this number is the way to reach me, so I can save your number as the contact.
Yeah. Save this number, get back to me, and then we'll set up a date and time. Because we can really reach a lot of people through the radio station. It's 99.1 maximum. So.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah. So just shoot me a text or give me a call. We can speak about that notes later. I don't want to hold you up too long.
Good job.
Okay. All right. I'll do that. Appreciate it.
I appreciate you.
All right. Take care, man. See you.
All right. You too. Bye.
For the person calling from Switzerland, Switzerland, here's the way to contact me. I don't want to take a call because my phone charges too much per minute for long distance calls like that. For Switzerland, contact me through Skype. Free to find truth. All one word. Free to find truth. Just like the website, freetofindtruth.com.
Thank God for internet.
So send me a friend request on Skype, and you can call me through Skype, and then we can talk for free. Oklahoma City, what's up?
Hey, what's good, Zach? This is Alec. I'll make it quick. I don't know if you've seen the OPEC and Russia deal that went wrong, where Putin gave the middle finger to Saudi Arabia. And that's pretty much what has crashed, the oil market.
Well, that whole thing was by the numbers, too. That was on the 68th day of the year, and Saudi Arabia dropped their future prices by $6 down to $8 a barrel on the 68th day of the year, and market 68. That was all part of the New World Order market manipulation.
What?
Saudi Arabia dropped their future prices by $6 down to $8 a barrel on the 68th day of the year, and market 68. That was all part of the New World Order market manipulation. But yeah, we covered that.
And I feel like that's to hide the failing economy here, because right before then there was no pandemic. Like you said, you thought you were sick with the corona, and I have an aunt that feels like she was too, but it was never a pandemic here yet. But then once that stuff went down with OPEC, now all of a sudden, like, we got shut down everything, all the CEOs quitting and everything.
Yeah, I saw some
I just
stuff
thought I'd
on
bring
that.
that up. But yeah, I'll let you go. On to the next caller.
All right, appreciate it, man. Good observation. Thank you. Caller?
Yeah, I should load that video up.
yeah.
It wasn't his video. It was a female.
Switzerland hasn't contacted me on
alternative
Skype. Well, yeah, you just follow the numbers. You just see how it's all news by the numbers. What's up, caller?
Hey, Zach, what's going on, man?
Just doing another live stream.
All right, so I want to ask you something about how you do your research. Obviously, you put it all out there, and you do a good way of explaining it. But like when you start, like, do you already have a list, or is it just like all memorized of like the connections you make with, like, for example, like Masonic and Freemasonry and the Jesuits, and the numbers connecting with like the headlines? How do you do that?
Well, I do have a lot of stuff memorized, but when I always start to decode a story that I don't know anything about, I just look if there's any like repeating numbers that came up. Like when I started to decode this whole thing back when we first started, 121 was showing up. And I was like, there's something about 121. Next thing you know, there's 10 more 121 headlines. And all of a sudden, Sirius XM has made the channel for the coronavirus outbreak 121. And it's just things like that show that you're on the right track. It's like, okay, I'm documenting that number, and now like things like this are happening. So,
well, how do you get to that with the technicality of like the phrase though? Because like coronavirus doesn't have 121, but coronavirus outbreak.
Well, that was the day those headlines came out. Coronavirus outbreak on January 21st.
That was a headline.
What news stations do you follow to like get the headlines? Is it like the most like?
I'm usually looking at CNN, but I mean they all do it. All the major news outlets encode the same type of way, but I usually focus on CNN. They seem to be the most consistent with it. So.
Okay. Yeah, because I've been doing a lot of research of like trying to like follow it more and be able to like predict stuff. Like I already have like watch today already, as in like today's the 80th day, and the numerology is 7 and 43.
Well, it's just like I said, days ago. I said, watch when the 78th day of the year comes. It's very possible we get a headline that day about West Virginia being the last state to get a Wuhan coronavirus case, and that's exactly what happened. March 18th, that was the headline. Wuhan coronavirus 78, West Virginia 78. So I mean, a lot of it's predictable. But and again, it's kind of go ahead.
Yeah, so I had a question. You were talking about how like the Jesuits, they rival the Catholics, even though they're all like above Catholics.
They don't rival the Catholics. The Jesuits serve the Catholics. The
You
Bavarian
mentioned they
Illumi-
rivaled someone though. It was like
the Bavarian
another, like,
Illuminati. The Bavarian Illuminati was formed to go after the Jesuits.
okay, I got you. Yeah. So pertaining to the coronavirus, like, are you expecting martial law soon, or what's your take on that?
Well, about a week ago, I said if they're going to do martial law, I suspect it'll happen in the first city on March 22nd, 322. So we'll see.
All right, yeah. I tried emailing you some pictures again for get it from the Scottish Rite Masonic Museum. I also posted it on Freedom for Truth. Hopefully, a lot of people get to see that. Where it backs a lot of your information from the Masons themselves. So
I know. Okay, you sent me that email multiple times, and I still haven't looked at it because I'm not seeing it. So
yeah, I also texted you on this phone when I called you when you're in Seattle. You told me to like text you.
okay, 720. I got to look at your number afterwards. It's because I get so overwhelmed, man. I got phone calls coming in all day and just a million things to look at. I mean, it's like impossible treadmill to keep up with. So
Yeah, I know,
It's
man.
also on Freedom to Truth, that website that you have.
Sure.
Sure.
All right, man. Appreciate it.
All right, guys. Yeah, take care. All right, later.
Okay, and I got to remember to save phone numbers right now. I got to call the guy with the radio show.
I don't know how he keeps up
It's just too much
with
information
everything
every
without a
single day.
personal assistant.
Like, how deep is that guy's call already from? Caller?
Yeah, Zach?
Yeah.
Oh, let me just mute the video right here. I wanted
I
to
would
know,
hate to
can
even
you check
see his phone
post I did on your
of
website?
all the inbox stuff.
Right now?
Yeah, it's quick. It's just quick.
No, I mean, did you just post it right now? Like, how far do I got to scroll?
Oh, just on the search, you put on you type in P as in Pedro, E as in Echo, D as in Pedro, and the face of an Aztec is gonna pop out. And just click on it. And I want to know if you could check out a picture.
Here, let me see.
So yeah, so on your website, you just go ahead and just click on the search bar.
I think I found a different Pedro. So what
So
Pedro?
no, it's not a Pedro. It's P as in Pedro, E as in Echo, and P as in Pedro.
Oh, Pet.
Yeah, Pet.
Just Pet?
Well, it should pop up. It's not many Pets.
There's Pet Bo, Pet Keys.
Pet Keys, yeah. Pet Keys.
Okay. All right. So I see on your timeline the last thing was the end of days cartoon.
Yeah. So pretty much I broke it down, and you should see some new contrived propaganda that they contrived us with, and that's pretty much it. Just review on it and pretty much just have it sink in and see what you can make out of it.
Sure. So I see, like you're saying, how Dean Kuntz's alt alias was a 121 as well.
And you're covering about him being a prophet and all that. And it's 201.
Sure. His book's got the Wuhan 400 prediction. So okay, Lane Nichols is the name on that. Another 121. Yeah, that's a good one. Okay. Yeah, man. Nice work.
It's just amazing how they broke it down, like even with the magic.
Okay.
The Prophet.
Yep.
121. Bill and Melinda Gates. Okay, yeah. Lane Nichols, 121. Coronavirus. Outbreak, 121. World Health, 121. It's all stuff you already knew, though. The Eyes of Darkness. He didn't really add a whole lot.
Yeah, man, nice
yeah, it's just amazing how they broke it down, like even with the Magic Johnson little star on the picture.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he even has a band-aid on. I don't know if you can see on his right shoulder.
Right.
Yeah, and the little Chinese guy right here that has the little black face, he has a $20 bill, so you know what 20, it's pretty much, means, you know, so,
Right, yeah, great observations.
Yeah, it's pretty much more obvious than, right in your face, like you say.
Indeed.
Right in your face.
Yeah, for people who don't know, freedefinetruth.com. Again, this is a place where you can post content, search for content.
It's my new
make
social
friends,
media platform.
And
I'm there.
Again, you don't have to worry about
Check it
censorship.
out.
So everything he's going to post on here, you can follow him. All his posts.
So any of you truth seekers that don't feel at home on Facebook because people don't believe the things you believe, this is free to find truth, and so these people will probably be more receptive to your message.
So just show up in a chronological order. So keep up the good work, man. I appreciate it.
All right.
See. What's going on, caller?
Hey, Zach, it's Jericho. Real quick, I got an email today from Glassdoor, the job search website, and it said 33 jobs hiring during Corona. And when I saw that, I just had to laugh. But I know you don't like to do this, but fake illness equals 113, false plague equals 42. And today, I don't know if the Hawks were having a practice or something, but they had a video of the team high-fiving a little boy. And I'm like, why would they be doing that amidst all this corona crap, you know? They got all this fear of it, and then they show a whole basketball team just high-fiving this little kid. Thought that was pretty interesting. A little side note, the companies Calvin Klein and Kenneth Cole, I don't know if you ever noticed, but they're identical. They're both 112, 49, and 185. They're both owned by Jews, and they're both out of New York, which is 33, and Brooklyn, New York equals 223 and 74.
Right.
Brooklyn is 112, New York 33.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I'm well aware of the numbers on Brooklyn, so.
Yep, New York has got Gematria all over the place. But
Man, Zach, I don't know how you burden yourself
appreciate
with
it, man.
all this information.
Yeah, and this post right here from Resist Control. Again, we've been talking about the movie The Purge. The Purge is about the new founding fathers who create a new holiday to honor them where murder is legal for 24 hours. It begins March 21st, ends on March 22nd. You find out in the film series the government's targeting poor people to be murdered, even hiring, essentially trained assassins to kill the poor. And again, you find out this Event 201, which has got the 322 coded all over it, or the 223, novel coronavirus 223. That's what I'm saying. March 22nd, going to be an interesting day. Caller?
Yeah, what's up, Zach?
What's up, man?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, what's up, man?
I just wanted to ask you like two questions. Have you ever heard of a YouTube page called Net Most Truth?
I don't know.
I
was just gonna ask you, like, do you know if that person's a shield or whatever, if their videos are?
I don't know who they are, so I don't have an opinion. I don't know.
Okay, and I was gonna ask you about the Kennedy assassination. Do you remember when he talked about exposing the secret societies?
Right.
Well.
Do you think they killed him as a message for further president?
Well, it's possible, because again, he gave that speech about secret societies to the National Press Club, and then he was killed in Dealey Plaza, named after a Scottish Rite Freemason, and George Dealey became famous because he was a member of the press. He owned newspapers.
Good
so
point.
It's like, JFK dies in a secret society, a place named after a guy from a secret society who is the press, after giving that speech to the National Press Club. There's definitely a riddle there.
Wow.
So, here, just real quick before you go back to JFK, I just want to point out that the first Purge movie came out on June 7th, 6-7 for people looking at the screen. And remember, Purge and Wuhan, they both equal 67 with the alphabetic order, 68 with the reverse, 23 with the reverse reduction, so they're the exact same in 3 out of the 4 ciphers. We talked about this the other day. What's up, caller?
Alright, that's cool. But that's all that.
All right, man, I appreciate it. All right, man, you have a good night.
All right.
Caller? Caller, you're on. You got to mute the video.
Alright, what's up, bro?
What's up, man?
Not a whole lot. I was trying to get you a couple books to go with your research.
Okay.
Do you have the Book of Jubilees?
I do not.
Okay, I'm going to get you that. Do I just email it to you? Because mostly I can just send you a link to the PDF. That'd probably be the most convenient for both of us.
Sure. Gematria Effect News
at gmail.com. So I just email you right there?
Yep, that's perfect.
It's easy.
And then I want to get you this Enoch calendar, bro. I sent you a text the other day about it. I know you've got probably 5,000 texts a fucking day, but it's a $20 purchase. I'm going to purchase it, then I'm going to copy it, and then email it to you.
All right. I have a P.O. box, too.
You with all your dates and stuff, because this is the real calendar I was telling you about. The 52 Saturdays every year since the beginning of time. Always correct, you know. Not the Gregorian, not the Julian, not by the moon, not by the sun, by the scripture.
Okay.
But I just wanted to send that to you and see if you can equate it into all this decoding, more or less.
Yeah, that would be great, man.
All right, so I'm going to hit you at GeometriaEffect.news with those.
Gematria
Okay,
Effect
I look forward to it.
News.
All right, thanks, man.
Keep up the good streams, brother.
Gmail.
All right, we'll take care. Yeah, again, in the film The Purge, it begins at 7 p.m. on March 21st, and it ends at 7 a.m. on March 22nd, so 7 to 7. And, again, that old 322. This year, March 21st, it's the date with the 44 and 64 date numerology. It's always a suspicious number. The word military is 44, so we'll see. I suspect headlines will be busy from now through then and even beyond then. What's up, caller?
Hey, what's up, Vlad?
Hey, man.
Hey, did you know that the second purge is called Keep America Great?
Keep America Great, and that's isn't that Donald Trump's reselection campaign?
Yeah.
and supposedly he hired the guy. That was his first name is, but last name is Bloom. But he had the guy Bloom working in the White House as marketing.
I think it's actually called the Purge election year. I don't think maybe they use that slogan in the movie though. Keep America great.
Yeah, the Purge election year. Like if you go to the banner for that movie, it shows it right there. The picture of like the guy just Keep America great.
Yep, right there. Keep America great. There it is.
It's crazy, man. And just one
Well,
more thing.
hey, just to go back, the guy who directs these movies, he did say that he said for the first movie that he was using the political theme of Trump and Hillary as part of the narrative. So I mean, he even came out and said that part of what this movie was about what was going on in the real world of politics at the time. So
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
Crazy. Hey, and one more thing, like regarding 119 or sorry, yeah, 119. Some people are saying that right now there's a coup d'etat going on in the U.S. and the diversion is the virus. So, but the word coup has some interesting gematria. But I was looking at takeover, and takeover has gematria of 119 and 47. I don't know, just some weird ass stuff going on.
Yeah, I think people put out stuff like that. I think they're way off the mark, man. I don't think there's any coup going on. I think it's just the same. I think a coup happened a long time ago, and it just gets worse and worse being under their reign. So.
Oh no, I agree. Like I'm not saying that. Like I think if anything, they're just solidifying more. It's like a new form, like more like a nationalist, socialist type of form of government. They're just gaining more power through this. But I'm not expecting like some hero to come save the day or anything like that. It's just they're using this to create like a even more of a tyrannical system. But,
yeah, I know. I'm just thinking more about okay, the Purge election year. Here we are in election year. It's got the same campaign slogan as Trump. Wuhan's. Yeah, it's just we'll see what they do Saturday and Sunday. So I appreciate that heads up. Thanks, man.
all right, man, take it easy.
All right, see you. I gotta admit, True Seeker, I got kind of bummed out earlier when California went on lockdown because I was planning to drive back to Seattle tomorrow. I was going to go to South Seattle, which is the poor end of town, and just ask people if they've heard about Event 201 and why they should read about it in light of all the stuff going on in Seattle and if they really are going to target poor people. And I want to go there tomorrow, but now that they're doing this lockdown thing, so I was thinking I had till at least Saturday or Sunday, and I was thinking Friday would be free, but I wouldn't be surprised if Seattle ends up doing this lockdown thing too. I don't want to be in the wrong spot at the wrong time and get inconvenienced, but what's up, caller?
How you doing? I've been listening to you. I just discovered you when Toby died. And I hear you talking about like people, politicians being Manchurian candidates.
Right.
And, puppet on the string and stuff. And then you say these things about Tom Hanks as if he, is a part of the cabal and he knows, So I'm like, why don't you think that of him? Why don't you think he's like a Manchurian candidate as well?
Well, I would say that he's a Manchurian candidate. I've talked about many times before how often they've given us the headlines that a lot of these actors are related to these presidents and politicians and royal bloodlines. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I really don't believe that he would. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm being naive because, like I said, I just found out about this stuff recently. So I'm thinking that these celebrities and just regular people, they don't know about this stuff either, and they're just putting themselves out there in an honest, straightforward manner. I mean, I do believe celebrities sell their soul for fame and fortune. I do believe it. I do believe there's no such thing as coincidences, but I also believe at the same time they don't know about this gematria stuff.
What do you think about Tom Hanks's Corona typewriter Instagram post with the 221 points?
I mean, I give people the benefit of the doubt until they prove otherwise. And Larry Johnson, he said he didn't know anything about those Illuminati hand signs that Jay-Z was asking him to throw up.
When he was in his early 20s, I mean, Tom Hanks is a guy who's been in Hollywood for how long? 40 years. So I mean, that's not a very good comparison, honestly. That's not a very good comparison. I mean, Larry Johnson's barely older than me. Tom Hanks is twice as old as both of us.
But still, people go through Hollywood and, celebrities sit there, they're given scripts to say, and they're told what to wear, where to go, all this kind of stuff. They don't even delve down deep into the meanings behind things. So, I mean, I just think, like, for instance, his son, he probably put that on his chest just thinking that's something cool. You know what I'm saying? Not necessarily, I mean, I don't know. I just don't think there's anything sinister behind it until they prove otherwise. Because it's like, I don't know. I just think they just walk through like they don't have a clue.
Well, they could all be puppets on strings, but it's got to be astronomical odds for it all to line up the way it does.
But no, you have the upper elites arranging this stuff.
Right. That's what I suspect going on. That's what I suspect they're doing. Yeah, that's what I've been saying.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I don't think Tom Hanks. I really don't think he's putting that stuff up there just to be mocking people. I think he's being sincere about, you know.
So what's the sincere message in a Corona typewriter?
I mean, I just don't think he realizes. I mean, I just don't think these people know about Gematria.
So he's just like, I'm getting better. So you just think like he's just being clever, like he's like, oh, I got the coronavirus, I'm just gonna do it.
That'd be an interesting drinking game of water. Every time they say coronavirus, take a sip.
Instagram post and show a picture of a Corona typewriter. There's no symbolism there.
I mean, there's symbolism, but like you said, he's mocking people and stuff. I just really don't think so. I think he's been given the roles he's played, and he's taken those roles, and he does not know about this Gematria stuff. I really don't believe so. And I also believe that you can know about the Illuminati and still.
Okay, so here's my problem with your call. You're calling in and making all these arguments that I'm not even making. I'm saying that Tom Hanks being used like a pawn on a chessboard for these rituals. I don't even know that these celebrities really even post on their Instagram. I've said that 1,000 times. It could be somebody else who posts on their Instagram for them.
Oh, wow.
But I mean, you just think it's just an coincidence that he puts 201 in there, a needless number detail that connects everything to the simulation?
So weird.
I mean, I agree with everything you're saying about coincidences and stuff. There's no such thing as that, but he could have somebody.
That's what's so blind. If somebody's actually pleading for our help by putting these coincidences intentionally in their writings, or he's just a pedophile and he's playing with us. Only one of those two can be true. Either he is a pedophile that's playing with us by putting these coincidences in there, or he's pleading for our help.
Is, doing his Twitter for him. He may not even be doing his own Twitter. You know what I'm saying?
That's what I've always said. So, I've always said that.
Yeah.
Are you a big Tom Hanks fan? You like
that he knows for sure that he knows about Gematria and all this stuff going on behind the scenes. Until he's really said something to make me believe that, I'm just going to give him the benefit of the doubt, because like I said, I did not know about any of this stuff, and this is just like.
So tell me what. Here's your question. You talk a lot. What's the point of your phone call?
Well, you sound like you like demonizing, celebrities and stuff.
Yeah, you know what you sound like? You sound now I see. So I'm just gonna hang up on you. That person's annoying the hell out of me. She's making all these arguments of things I'm not saying. I'm saying why they're using Tom Hanks for these rituals. If he really did post this on Instagram, he's definitely a part of it. But I've always said that these celebrities are going to own their own Twitters and Instagrams, because there are always these coded messages that get dropped. I mean, what point is she trying to make? It could just all be a coincidence. Corona typewriter, 201 points, gin rummy. Maybe his son just thought this tattoo was cool. He just decided he was going to talk about his parents being sick and it's no big deal and do it with his shirt off. Well, I mean, what's the point of doing that? Is this a serious phone call?
So that's Tom Hanks' son, Chet. Huh. Chet Hanks. This is awesome. One of the first Hebrew words I learned was Chet. And Chet means sin in Hebrew. And sin isn't what we grow up thinking that it is. It literally means missing the mark. Aiming for perfection and missing. Whether it's a degree or 10 degrees or frickin' the wrong direction. Like a lot of life choices are in the wrong direction. Not even aiming at the right target. And that's what sin means. And it makes so much more sense when it's broken down in that manner, because then there's less guilt associated with it. You could just, okay, I screwed up, let's aim for dead center and do better. Chet Hanks.
Sounds like somebody who just bought up all the toilet paper. What's up, caller? Like somebody who just bought up. I mean, what's the point of doing that? Is this a serious phone call? Sounds like somebody who just bought up all the toilet paper. What's up, caller?
And toilet paper is the same value as mind control, which is 121.
Hello?
Pretty sure.
Hello? Okay, something's wrong with their signal. I can't hear that. But, I mean,
dang it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just...
Should have just went there in the first place.
Some people got too much fluoride. What's up, caller?
Yo, what up, Zach? Can you hear me? My bad.
I hear you, man. What's going on?
Yeah, so I live in LA, and I just wanted to say, man, I hope you have another protest like in April or the month after, because I was trying to fly out. I just had stuff I had to do. But I live in LA, so bringing up the 22nd, this upcoming Sunday, I do think that they're gonna have the full lockdown, because right now they're walking this up with a semi-lockdown. So 3 times 2 equals 66. I was wondering if you had like any like intelligence on that, but I'm pretty sure they're gonna lock LA down on Sunday.
It won't surprise me, man. I mean, they always do big things on 3/2/2, so very well could happen again.
Oh yeah, definitely. And another thing I wanted to bring up was there was this little Yanni Drake music video. It was like a cross-dressing Baphomet ritual they were doing, and you can go look at the video. And in the beginning, there's just like a long part of like Drake talking, and he's just talking, and he's like, and they're just clearly like bringing up 33 years old. Oh yeah, I'm 33 years old. I'm 33 years old. It's 33 years old. And it's like right in your face. They're just like reiterating that number, and it's just like the biggest ritual right in your face. I don't know if you've seen that music video.
I haven't seen it.
It's called Oprah's Bank Account by put Oprah's Bank Account Drake. You'll see the ritual.
I heard about this. I meant to research it and I forgot. There's just so much stuff. Okay.
Yeah, it's so disgusting, and he's just like, it's right when he says 33, I'm just like, wow, this is like a big ass ritual. And then another thing, I was wondering if you had or would possibly do a video on Dwayne Wade sacrificing his son to the Baphomet to push the LGBTQ agenda. I don't know if you have any like intel or like did research on that.
I gotta look into that too. So.
Awesome. And I was just wondering, when do you plan to have your next protest, man? I definitely want to come and support.
Well, I was honestly going to go do it tomorrow. Not tomorrow. What I was planning on doing, I was planning on going to Seattle tomorrow and going to the South End, which is the poor end of town, and the town that people are a lot more awake, and just show them this simulation. Just go up to people who are interested and say, hey, can I tell you where to go on your cell phone and just watch the last minute of this video and just listen to this? Because I feel like all the poor people in the world need to hear the last minute of that Event 201 11-minute highlight reel, and just how after 6 months the thing explodes and really starts targeting poor communities and megacities. I mean, Seattle, Washington definitely isn't a megacity, but since it's going on there, I just wonder if it could end up targeting the poor half of town. And again, I just think all poor people around the world deserve to hear what's at the end of that simulation of Event 201, just so they can have a heads up.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think they're trying to slowly purge the homeless right now. That's what they're doing. And just bringing up the purge, how you were looking into the dates. I don't know if you saw. In the movie, the purge. Actually, I have a screenshot of it. I'm looking at it right now. There's like a little clip where it says 3/21/2020 in the movie. I'm not sure which movie that is, but it was before this year, and it says the date. And that's what they're going on a lockdown. So it's pretty interesting how they were like pre-programming this stuff.
You're saying there's a scene from the date March 21st, 2020 in the Purge movies?
Yeah, I have a screenshot of it right now. Can I possibly send it to this number?
If you send it to this number, yeah, then I can text it to me right now, because then I can send it to my email and show it to everybody. Yeah, do that.
Yeah, it's really weird.
All right, let me know when you send a text message and I'll check it out. I'll send it to the email.
Yeah, I just sent it right now.
You just sent it?
But what area did you have your last protest again?
Seattle.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I was actually gonna get the round trip for the day, but something came up. It was so cheap. It was like $200. I was gonna go, man. I'm a big supporter, you know. I'm 22 years old, but man, I've been digging into all this stuff. You know, I was really young, so it's really interesting. But I do believe on the 22nd, they're gonna implement that. They're just warming it up right now, you know.
Right. Okay, here, I'm looking up your email right now. I got it. So,
I texted you,
yeah, I got it up on the screenshot, everyone can see it. Okay, so The Purge, you can see the beginning of the movie. Shows PM 10/24/07 PM 1st 2020. Purge feed, Salina, Ohio. So does it show any other towns at that same? Is it like filtering through towns throughout America, or is it focused on that town? Do you know?
I don't have extensive details. I just have this screenshot, and you know it's fucking this day tomorrow. So I'm sure they're gonna do some type of ritual or some spell casting or some type of symbolism in the news and media or some type of bullshit headline.
Selena's got Gematria 44. It's a date with 44 numerology. It's also got Gematria 118 like death, 37 and 26 like virus. Selena, OH is 67 like Wuhan. Selena, Ohio. Yeah, we gotta figure out which one this is from.
91.
That's interesting.
Yeah, this is really fucking interesting, man.
Yeah, because Purge and Wuhan, again, they're both 67, and the first film came out on June 7th. So
91's important to me.
He's starting more shit with China.
23.
Impulsively saying, Trump.
Wuhan's 23 in reverse full reduction.
He's starting more shit with China. Just impulsively saying this is a Chinese virus, just targeting them. I wouldn't be surprised if some type of like, you know, preliminary fucking war starts. I feel like there is.
Right. I hear you. Huh.
Just with China in particular, I feel like we're gonna ban travel to China.
There's
Donald Trump don't trust China. China is asshole.
Maybe a couple of months until all
Oh, Gerard McMurray. Interesting timing.
settles down with all the speed going on.
Sure. There's another Purge movie coming out later this year.
Yeah, there is actually, and I'm sure that has some subliminal secret shit in it, but it's just I haven't looked into it. But I know there's that Space Jam 2 with fucking LeBron and all this bullshit. NBA. I don't know if he was fucking LeBron.
So it's just the Purge, election year Purge, the first Purge, Purge 5. So July 4, 2018, Gerard McMurray.
I hadn't looked into it, but I know there's that Space Jam 2 with.
I really wish this was intuitive enough that I can click the screen and boom, if I was watching his live stream, and then boom, I could somehow have that tab open and see it without his screen capture covering it up, if it was something that I wanted to study more, because I could listen to him in the background while I'm looking at it fully. That would be perfect if we could figure out a way to add that feature.
Fucking LeBron and all this bullshit.
I'm sure they could do a smart AI. I'm sure there's a way. Where there's a will, there's a way.
NBA. I don't know if you heard 2 players in the Lakers have the coronavirus.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to look into that. There's just so many headlines to keep up with, but I will.
Yeah, it's fucking overwhelming right now. So I appreciate all the videos you drop. You know, I have a lot of gratitude for your work and shit.
All right, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for the heads up.
Yeah, definitely, man. Always supporting, and I hope to fucking support your next protest. Keep it up, man.
Thank you. Thank you, man. Appreciate that.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, take care. That's kind of weird that from event 201 to the day the Purge movie comes out, it's 266 days. That big number with the Jesuits, it's also 38 weeks. Pandemic 38, death 38. It's a movie about death, murder, killing. Murder's 38, killing.
So what he's saying is, if you type in, for my subscribers that don't know, if you type in murder 38 in the reversible reduction, and that means Z is 1, Y is 2, X is 3, and it's 1 through 8, and then 1 through 9, 1 through 9, 1 through 8. And when you go into regular, it's 1, A is 1, B is 2, C is 3. But there's no double digits. It's not binary. So when it goes to 9, then the next one's 1. So 1 through 9, 1 through 9, 1 through 8. So only 2 letters in this cipher are worth a value of 9. But there are 3 letters that are worth a value of 8. I have always studied, or not studied, but just seen these patterns for the English ordinal standard, which is A is 1, Z is 26, just standard. And murder in that one is 79. Thankfully, I was born in 78, unless our calendars is false. Because even George Washington, while living, had 2 birth dates because they changed the calendar on him while he was living. So not even born the same. Definitely not the same month, and I think not even the same year. Like the year even changed. It was crazy. You can look that up. So, yeah.
38, RIP 38. That's weird. That Murder's 38, killing also 38. From event 201 to the day the Purge movie comes out, it's 266 days. That big number with the Jesuits, it's also 38 weeks. Pandemic 38, death 38. It's a movie about death, murder, killing. Murder's 38, killing 38. RIP 38.
RIP 38. He knows his shit. 38. 38. Okay, now check this out. If it will let me even open up another one on this one, I might have to go over here. Bear with me. Murder by Numbers, IMDb. Actually, I'd rather have just images of the album art. not album art per se, but boom. So just give me a full picture. Don't be dumb. So notice how the 3 in murder, or the E is a 3 and the B is an 8. 3, 8. Murder by numbers. 38. I hope I'm reaching somebody. If I could reach one person, then I've done my job. Because if, well, 2. Because if everybody reached 2 people with this knowledge. So murder by numbers, they changed it to 3 and 8. The E is a 3 and the B is an 8. Well, it's a little late. What? What the f... Nice. What is this? So I'm trying to use Brave more with DuckDuckGo, and this is what they choose as a logo. Interesting. Okay, whatever. Yeah.
That's weird. That is weird. Like a movie they end up canceling. You know, they always have those movies that are supposed to release, and they're like, oh, that movie was going to release too close to this event. It was too similar in history. Then you got a bunch of stuff with 9/11. So, you guys, we'll leave it there. I might still end up going to Seattle tomorrow. I'm going to play it by ear. Again, I don't want to end up stranded on the other side of town from where I live, or on the other side of the state, I should say, from where I live. But
going up there again.
Again, I want to get down and talk to some people while we still can, just in case this gets crazier than anyone expects. And another thing, the building that we've been trying to acquire for Gematria Effect News, the woman who holds the lease, she contacted me today and she said that there's 2 offers in on the property, and she reached out to me and she said, you're the only one willing to carry on the tradition. I'll just give you a heads up. There's a restaurant tradition she has that she wants to see carried on with the next ownership, and she said, so far I'm the only one who said I would do it. But she said I need to have an offer in by March 27th. I'm not going to be able to do that unless people from the community step up. What's up, Keller?
Not much, man. I'm just, sleepless here in Miami. They pretty much shut the city down. With information for you. So, are you familiar with the Rapunzel Tangled mention of Corona being her home kingdom that she was isolated from?
I didn't know that, no.
Me neither. I mean, people verified it, then I looked it up. I'm not sure on the fact that she was isolated from it, but she had to leave Corona. Rapunzel had to leave Corona in the movie Tangled. I looked at Rapunzel's Gematria. It's 11341. I don't know what the other 2 are, but it's like Kobe Bryant, 113, and then 41. Yeah, so I was checking out the comments in the chat, and someone just mentioned how Drake has a post on Instagram. It's like maybe 7 posts back or 8 posts back.
All right. Anyways, so he's done with his chat. He's no longer live, so I'm gonna be done. I'll finish it later because I usually watch as much of his content as I possibly can. He does this 7 days a week, so it's hard to keep up with him. But I do my best. I try. I listen if I can't watch it. Oh yeah, back to this Biden. And what's okay? Yeah.
They would put 720 million women back in the workforce. Nobody exempt the gun manufacturers from liability. It would put 720 million women back in the workforce. Nobody should be in jail for a nonviolent crime. My name's Joe Biden. I'm a Democratic candidate for the United States Senate. What's not to like about Vermont in terms of the beauty of it? And what a neat town. Play the radio. Make sure the television, make sure you have the record player on at night. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids. We choose science over fiction. We choose truth over facts. Think about it. We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by you know the thing.
Yep, that's the man. It's Super Thursday.
Pastor Cal explains what a prophet is. Coincidentally, at 2223 mark, my favorite number is 23, and 22 is a great number too. But at this exact moment, he defines a prophet.
Prophet. He's a truth teller, speaking for God. And what a prophet does is realign our priorities. It tells us where we fall short. They speak to us, and their ministry in many ways convicts us. Founder of Teen Challenge, David Wilkerson, was a prophet. Very prophetic in his voice. I believe another man, Charles Colson.
Point is, I think Zachary Hubbard might be a prophet. He just doesn't know it yet, because as soon as he accepts the truth of the Trinity, you know, the living Father of Jesus Christ exists, and he has sent his Son to die for the sins of the world, and they are tangible, they are real, just as we are, just as you and I. And he's gonna get there. He's gonna get there, and when he does, that transformation with all the knowledge he has, Lord have mercy, that guy will not be able to be contained. He's already of all energy, like he just has to. Well, when he's out there, he's ready, you know, and he has everything down that he needs to say. Talking points. There's so he has a master's degree, so he understands the structure of knowledge, and so based on what you already know coming up to the guy, he has to size you up and then give you the talking points based on what you're going to be receptive to. And he's so good at it. It's just amazing to watch. It's just amazing to watch. He's really talented. But he's been doing it for 6 years, 7 days a week. And even the Lord rested on the seventh day. So, point is, yeah, I know it's been long. Let's see how many minutes. I know this is ridiculous. Does it even say? Yeah, an hour 34 minutes. I'm gonna try to do this anyways and just close with this Steven Crowder, because that was the whole point of even me starting this stream, which I won't be able to do live because I don't have enough subscribers to do that. But here's Steven Crowder, and I'm just gonna have him do the full screen grab. Go.
Because you speak to what you know. And obviously I'm a man, but I don't want women who tune into the show, a surprising number, to be left out in the cold. So this is for you, and I'll still be speaking about men, so hopefully helping you by letting you in the other team's huddle a little bit. I've heard a lot of women, and we do life advice often on Mondays, that it's really hard to find a good man. I hear this quite a bit from women out there. And listen, it's true. That is absolutely true. It's hard to find a good man, just as it's hard to find a good woman. In the era of feminism, it's hard for a man to find a woman who understands what being a good wife is. That's just like it is for women and husbands. It's not really something we're taught anymore, right? We're taught, well, you don't have to be X. You don't have to be masculine. You don't have to be strong. You can be sensitive. For women, you don't have to be a stay-at-home mom. You don't have to cook dinner. You don't have to clean the house. And you know what? All those things are true. But it doesn't make you a better woman or a better wife. They're just choices, and most of these choices are amoral, okay? But what we don't talk about nearly enough anymore is what you do have to be. We talk about how you have to love yourself and how you don't have to fit into any molds, but what is it that you have to be? What is it that you have to do? Because in order for you to be a good woman, or in order for someone to be a good man, there has to be a standard. And I will say this. For the women out there looking for a good man, there are certain things that a man has to do. There are certain standards that you should be looking for. And I think that women today are taught to look for the wrong things nearly always. Let me explain. First off, nice. How often do you hear, like, what is it? Well, he's nice. Could not be less relevant to looking for the right man. Throw it out. If you're looking for a good man, nice doesn't even enter into the equation. Now, if you're asking, is he generous? Is he compassionate? Is he merciful? Is he empathetic? Does he treat people and women with respect? These are all good things, of course, because these are character qualities. Nice is not, because nice is circumstantial. Eddie Haskell was nice. Hitler was apparently nice to kids. Osama bin Laden apparently was really nice to kids. And here's something that I think is important. A lot of women, you'll choose a man because he's nice and then complain that as a husband, we see this a lot. He's not living up to the expectations, or he isn't giving you what you need. And then we go back to, it's difficult to find a good man. Here's the deal. It's important that you find a man, okay, a husband, yes, let's not talk about nice, but who is loving toward you, who is compassionate toward you, who is considerate. As a Christian, I believe that a husband should love his wife as Christ loved the church, which means as his own body. What does that mean? You don't abuse your body. You take care of it, you only get one. So I'm going to assume before I give you the rest of this advice that you're starting off with that. Not some domestic abuser who should be put behind bars, okay? Don't take this out of context, otherwise this won't help you. But something else I would like for you to take into consideration, women out there who find yourself struggling to find a man. If you have to choose between a man who is generally nice, more specifically a man who values, I guess, nice, over righteous anger, you should pick righteous anger every time. A man who values nice above all else is not a man who can lead a family. He's not a man who can protect you. He's not a man who most importantly can serve you. And by the way, it's also pretty damn easy to be nice. It's very easy to go through life being nice. I'm not talking about being polite, but being the nice, go along, get along guy. It's easy to be confrontationally evasive. You know what's harder? Righteous anger. It's harder for a man to grow a spine and stick his neck out from the foxhole, get in the fray when it's the right thing to do. So if you're dating a man, or you're looking for a man, and he's nice, that's great. But if you've never seen righteous anger, righteous indignation, if you've never seen him bow up, the hair in the back of his neck stand up, you've never seen a guy who gets passionate about injustice or maybe comes close to getting his dukes up, that's cause for concern, ladies. And I don't mean, when I say righteous anger, let me be really clear here. I don't mean that he gets mad because someone cut him off in the car, though I do, especially if people don't know the left lane is for passing. Remember we both knew someone who got a ticket for going slow in the left lane? Yeah. The gayest ticket ever. Justice. And by the way, I don't just mean physically protecting his wife when I'm talking about a man. I'll tell you this. Okay, let me give you an example. I had my wife come home from work, and there was a woman who was she was psychologically, verbally abusive toward my wife. Maybe there was some jealousy that I don't know. I don't want to copy-paste motivation, but the actions were unacceptable. And I remember hearing the stories. One in particular, my wife came home and she was really upset. You know, she maybe was crying a little bit. And I remember thinking, God, you know, I wish this person, this broad, were a man so I could go over and settle this thing. And I don't mean assault him, but I mean have a man-to-man talk. But I can't do that when it's a woman. But I didn't talk to her. And that righteous anger, by the way, it stems not from nice. It stems, this is something that I think a lot of women miss. Righteous anger and aggression in men, it stems from love. In that instance, it stems from love for my wife. So the easy thing in that scenario would be to be nice. Oh, well, things happen. It is what it is. That's what we hear a lot. Don't you love when you hear that? Oh, it is what it is. You know what someone is usually saying when they say that? They're just saying, well, I is a p***. That's what they're saying. Okay, so I want you to think, if you're a woman out there and you're looking at a man, kind of think of it as a puppy. You ever had to pick a puppy out? I don't advocate for pet shops, but maybe at a breeder. You're looking at a bunch of puppies. You take one from the litter. What do? You take the dog, especially, by the way, if you have kids. You roughhouse him a little bit. You roll him over, or you wrestle him or her, or you grab a chew toy, you place him tug of war. You want to see if that dog has a little bit of fight in him, particularly if you're looking for a guard dog for the family. And by the way, when you're looking for a husband, a good man, you're always looking for a guard dog. You are not looking, ever, in that instance, for a golden retriever, period. Fun for a dog, never for a husband. You want your husband to be a German Shepherd, a Rottweiler, a Dogo Argentino. You want bridled power, or it will harm you more than having a husband who is maybe a little easier to handle, but who has some spine. And I see women looking in the wrong place all the time, and they're disappointed. And I understand it. You're disappointed in what you find in men. It's because you've been lied to. It's because we failed young men in teaching them how to be men, how to grow into adult men, in teaching them how to be powerful and how to bridle their power. And I mean physically, emotionally, spiritually. We need to develop powerful young men so that we can teach them how to bridle that power. And we failed a lot of young men in not teaching them what righteous anger, when righteous indignation is appropriate. And we failed young women too, by the way. I'm telling you, the women out there, you've been failed by many mothers, by, I hate to say it, many leaders in the church, certainly by feminism, and not being taught what to look for in a man and what it is that you should seek in a man. And so what happens? We end up with this where women focus on nice and then say it's really hard to find a good guy. We focus on a temporary, transient happiness, on a get-along attitude, and we end up with a lot of women who are unhappy and men who are unhappy because they don't feel good about themselves. It doesn't feel good to be a spineless pussy. So let me tell you this. If you talk to a lot of women out there who've had a divorce, or a marriage on the rocks, barring obviously sex and finances, which are sort of the root cause of a lot of problems in marriage. But if we're talking about individual problems with their spouse, and I would encourage you to, women, this is a test for you right now. Think of women who maybe are in your circle of friends, who are maybe having a rough go in their marriage. Be supportive of them, and also maybe find out why. Like, ask women who've had unsuccessful relationships what the problem was. I guarantee you will more often get a response from women that their husband just didn't care, that their husband just checked out, that there wasn't any passion anymore. And often, you know what? Often that lack of passion, that he doesn't care, that's what leads to cheating. Now, of course, I hate that I always have to say this, but people will take things out of context. We have to take out the extreme examples of domestic abusers on both sides of the equation. I don't want you to misconstrue what I'm saying. When you eliminate those monsters who should be behind bars, often women, the ones who complain about their husbands, the complaint is, you know what? He's just not really much of a man. And then I want you to ask women who've had successful relationships, or women who really love their husband, what he's like. Almost always, almost invariably, they'll come back with an answer like, oh, well, he's difficult. Sometimes I want to strangle him. But they love him. There's passion there. And you know what? That man who shows righteous anger, that man who shows, by the way, sometimes virtuous violence. A lot of people, we assume that violence is bad. Not advocating violence for no reason, but sometimes violence is virtuous. Sometimes violence is used to rape somebody. Terrible. Sometimes violence is used to stop a rape. So how do you know it's righteous? You know that it's righteous or virtuous when it's aimed at evil, when it's aimed at injustice. So how do you know it's righteous? You know that it was used to rape somebody. Terrible. Sometimes violence is used to stop a rape. Violence is used to rape somebody. Terrible. Sometimes violence is used to stop a rape. So how do you know it's righteous? You know that it's righteous or virtuous when it's aimed at evil, when it's aimed at injustice. But if a man isn't strong, a man doesn't have power to brother, he can't aim anything. And righteous anger, by the way, I want to be really clear, women, so that you don't find some domestically abusive guy. This righteous anger should never be aimed at you from your spouse. Now, they can be angry for you, right? That's a miscommunication that often happens with women, and you're told that it's toxic. Right? Well, there's a miscommunication, and sometimes you think your husband's mad at you or the guy who you're dating, and they're actually mad for you. I've had this happen. My wife, in the situation I was talking about with this woman at work, I got upset. Why? Because I wanted to fix the problem for my wife, and I couldn't. And I was furious. And then we figured out how to bridge that gap in communication. But I want you, women out there, this is the test for you this week. This is the challenge. I want you to ask women who you know, who you respect, who have husbands, ask them if their husbands have a backbone. Ask them if they've seen his righteous indignation, particularly the ones who have strong husbands. And then I want you to ask them if there's ever been infidelity. And then I want you to ask them if there's ever been domestic abuse. And I want you to ask them if they've ever feared for their safety. In most cases, they won't have. There are exceptions. As a general rule, that's not the case. Because the abuse, this is important, the abuse, the mistreatment, the bullying that happens toward women at the hands of men, it happens at the hands of weak men who stand for nothing and never stick their neck out angrily for the righteous. So they go along to get along. Why? Because being nice makes it easier to get your way. It's a lot easier to avoid conflict. It's also a lot easier to lie. So listen, a man out there who is nice and has never been angry righteously is a coward. He's weak. And ultimately, that's the kind of man who is likely to end up being a bully. Why? Because bullies typically pick the target that's smaller than them, the weaker target. The weakest target they can find. That's what a bully is. A bully isn't someone who goes in and picks a fight and loses. A bully is someone who tortures small animals, right? A sociopath. That's what a bully is. And a weak, nice man is far more likely to bully his wife than a strong, aggressive, but righteous man. So women, please, I have to get going here. If you've been looking for nice, if you've been looking for something that works and that it just feels right and fits, okay, I'd encourage you to do a 180 right now. If it's not been working for you, stop looking for nice. Start looking for backbone. Start looking for principle. Start looking for a man who, might be a little bit difficult. Look for a man where, you know what, it may not just click. It may not fit perfectly right away. There may be some puzzle pieces that you're going to have to fit, that you're going to have to work with. And then, if he's the right one, link arms with him and love together. Be tender together. Support, serve each other. And be righteously angry together about the same things. That's what you look for in a man. Not nice. See you next week. 1 billion views.
So that's my morning. How about yours? Yeah. So check out Gematria Effect News and Gematria Effect Sports with Zachary K. Hubbard. Um, he's he's humble. Like even like here, he comes off as arrogant, but here's the thing: he's brought himself down from such a higher level to be here because he's dealing with so many arrows from the enemy, right? So the one catchphrase, it should be on a T-shirt, and I apologize for this damn camera. See, I don't know how to fix it because this doesn't seem to be a setting. Anyways, he said, I could wipe my ass with Nostradamus's prophecies, essentially. Because he's been right so many times for so many years and predicting things in advance. I went back as far as, and I recommend you do too, January 25th, 2020, the day before Kobe Bryant died. He released a video on both of his channels, which I think were two different videos. Because one, excuse me, one is the sports channel and one is the news channel. Anyways, it was about LeBron James passing him for third place in total points scored on an NBA court against the 76ers that had a snake going through the center court logo. Even though Kobe wasn't dead yet, he died the next day. So it's just interesting to listen to him, his demeanor and tone, and it doesn't shift much from Saturday to Sunday. Pre-Kobe dying, he doesn't know about it and doesn't talk about it because it hasn't happened yet. And then Sunday, I encourage him, if he has time, to watch himself on Saturday and Sunday, because I mean, I didn't go straight into morning mode either. I went straight into conspiracy mode. So I can't say that he didn't have emotion, but he went into like, I told you so mode, and it was like, look, this is getting worse and worse and worse. So I'm just doing my part and echoing what this guy's saying. Like, hey, listen to him. But at the same time, know that the living Father of Jesus Christ is real as the skin, the flesh that we bear, because he put us in these bodies. And I don't know why this camera keeps doing, like, why? I think the Holy Spirit is drunk. Anyways, enjoy your medicinal bourbon, because apparently coronavirus doesn't last very long in alcohol. So just, make sure keep your mouth rinsed out at all times. Don't touch your face, and periodically shampoo your coronavirus filter. And more people should have them, because if anything, it would prevent or minimize the amount of particulates that can get inside of you. And so, I don't know. Now I'm just rambling at this point, and we got to be approaching 2 hours. I've never posted a video this long, but you know what? I lost a friend recently on Friday the 13th. And that's a story for another time. I love him dearly. Went to his wedding a decade ago. He's a great friend, man, and just it sucks. And I don't want to end the video this way, but and he was a really, 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 really somebody I'm gonna miss, that I don't have that interaction with now. Like, I'm gonna think about him. Oh, can't message him. Just like when your parent dies or a sibling dies, but glory be to God, he's still listening. He's still there. So if we are still here breathing his air, then he has a plan and purpose for each and every one of us. So in his name we pray, amen. Keep looking up, because if he's got a plan for me, he's got a plan for you in Gematria.